Caring Review print Speaking to the Blind, celebrating 40 years of audio newspaper production. Welcome to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Podcast, recorded at the Bishopbriggs Media Centre by our amazing volunteers. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter or Instagram using @QNReview. That is @CUEANDREVIEW. You can also contact us directly by emailing information@QNreview.com. That is INFORMATION@CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. That's 0141 772 3976.
From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 26th of January 2024, from the news section. ABC frontman to host audience with event. Article written by Sandhya Suresh. Eastwood Park Theatre in Giffnock will host ABC frontman Martin Fry during an evening of stripped-back music and conversation. An intimate evening with Martin Fry will be held on October the 13th and will provide fans with the opportunity for a meet and greet at the venue. The evening follows a successful tour for Mr. Fry, which included sell-out nights at the London Palladium. This event coincides with the release of his autobiography. Mr. Fry said, "I have been very lucky in my career to have played venues around the world, from massive arenas in the States to Sheffield Town Hall in my hometown, where we marked 40 years of the Lexicon of Love. However, this tour really is something a bit different, an opportunity for stripped-back music and conversation with my fans. It will be really special, I can't wait." His transatlantic success with his band ABC includes hits such as Poison Arrow, The Look of Love, All of My Heart, Be Near Me and When Smokey Sings. Moira McFadden, Head of Communities and Arts at East Renfrewshire Council and Leisure, said, "We look forward to welcoming Martin Fry to Eastwood Park Theatre for an intimate evening where he will reflect on his career and the music that retains the affection of listeners 4 decades on. We have a number of exciting events, performances and shows lined up with the special guests this year. Leading social entrepreneur, Sunday Times best-selling author and homeless campaigner Josh Littlejohn MBE, who founded charities The Social Bite and The World's Big Sleep Out, comes to the theatre to talk about his life and career in March. We also look forward to welcoming Rangers legends Mark Hateley, Mark Walters and Graham Roberts to the stage. Other performances include former Sex Pistols frontman John Lydon, who will bring his spoken word show I Could Be Wrong, I Could Be Right to the theatre in June." Ms McFadden said they were also hosting an audience with Celtic legend Neil Lennon in October and will welcome Queen of the West End, Kerry Ellis, in November. Tickets for ABC, an intimate evening with Martin Fry, will be available to purchase from today at 10 a.m, starting from £32, including meet and greet tickets. To book, go to www.tinyurl.com. And that article was written by Sandhya Suresh. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 26th of January, from the news section. Agony for owner after dog killed by car in city. This article is unattributed. A dog has been killed by a car which fled the scene, leaving owners inconsolable. The car struck the animal on Inveresk Street in the city's Greenfield on Wednesday evening. An eyewitness said they and a few others stopped to help the owners, who were inconsolable after the horrific incident. In a post on local community group No One Seems to Care, they said, "Just witnessed a dog being knocked down in Inveresk Street. The car didn't stop. The owners are inconsolable. Myself and a couple of others stopped to try and help, but I think the wee dog has passed. Can't get them out of my head. The driver really should have stopped, even if that's not the law, and made sure the owner was okay." The incident was reported to the police, who confirmed the car did not stop and that the dog died at the scene. An investigation has been launched. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, "We were made aware of a dog being struck by a vehicle on Inveresk Street in Glasgow around 8:25 p.m. on Wednesday, January 24th. The vehicle did not stop and the dog died at the scene. Inquiries are ongoing. And the article was unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 26th of January, from the opinion section, letters. Letter to the editor. Memories of evacuation during World War II. I read with interest your article on the World War II evacuation. I know that you have given my stories on this topic great coverage in the past. However, just reading today's Glasgow Times brought back some memories. Your headline, stating the programme was not without its faults, is spot on. I have never forgotten my first evacuation experience just after the war had started. I had just turned 9 with a 4-year-old brother. We and our young mother, still in her mid-20s, were evacuated to a remote farm near Stirling. Even I sensed the farmer and his family were not happy having us dumped upon them. We were put in a barn-like building some distance from the farmhouse. I remember trying to comfort my mother, who broke down and cried. One day, soon after we had arrived there, we met up with 2 of our playmates from the same tenement, Jean and Jackie Halliday and their mother. They were in a downhearted state living in a nearby farm. The fathers of both families were living in Glasgow, expecting to be conscripted into the armed forces. Within 2 weeks, we were all back home in Glasgow, having been unable to adjust to country life, which had included a very short time at a new school. I was evacuated a few months later to Canada for 4 years. The Glasgow Times has given my story great coverage. Dan Harris, via email. With regard to the reports of the pyros being on display again ahead of the Hibs v Rangers game on Wednesday night, I am sick of it. Surely these fans need to grow up and just quit this attention-seeking stunt at matches. One day it is going to cause serious injury to a fan. Name and address supplied, and that was letters to the editor from today's Glasgow Times, date Friday the 26th of January 2024. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 26th of January, from the news section. Sturgeon called Boris a clown during pandemic. Article by Stuart Patterson. WhatsApp messages show Nicola calling former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson a expletive deleted clown. Sturgeon made the remarks to her then Chief of Staff, Liz Lloyd, when Johnson was announcing another national lockdown on October the 31st, 2020. The messages were revealed as Ms Lloyd was giving evidence to the UK COVID inquiry. They showed Sturgeon stating Johnson's address to the nation was expletive deleted excruciating, and that the UK communications were awful. Sturgeon also told Ms Lloyd, his utter incompetence in every sense is now offending me on behalf of politicians everywhere. Ms Lloyd said she was offended on behalf of special advisers everywhere. Sturgeon replied, he is an expletive deleted clown. The messages reveal Ms Lloyd told Sturgeon she wanted a good old-fashioned rammy with the UK government so she could think about something other than sick people in WhatsApp messages. Former adviser Lloyd told Sturgeon she had set a timetable for the UK government to answer the Scottish government on furlough as a purely political move in the messages between herself and the former First Minister on November the 1st, 2020. Sturgeon said, yeah, I get it, and it might be worth doing. I've sent a rough formulation of what I might say tomorrow. Lloyd said the Scottish Government was clearly not complimentary about the UK Government, communications handling. She told the inquiry, we had to mitigate the chaos that appeared around some of the decisions they took. Usman Tariq, junior counsel to the inquiry, asked Miss Lloyd if the relationship between the then First Minister and then Prime Minister had broken down. She said, that overstates what there was to break. She said of Boris Johnson, he didn't want to be on those calls, he wasn't well briefed, he wasn't listening, engagement with him became slightly pointless. They didn't get us anywhere. We started with the approach we should work together, in coordinated fashion, but a substantive discussion isn't what we got. The Prime Minister was reading a script and would largely ignore points made. She said Sturgeon's strong language showed her frustration towards Mr Johnson. Ms Lloyd said she was looking for a public spat with a purpose in relation to the UK government. Junior counsel to the inquiry, Usman Tariq, asked former adviser Ms Lloyd if she was looking for a spat. Ms Lloyd said, "I was looking for a spat with a purpose. It had been shown in the past that they would sometimes change their mind if they felt the pressure, and I wanted them to change their mind." And that article was by Stuart Patterson. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 26th of January, from the news section. Teenager left paralysed after breaking his neck. Article by Kirsty Feerick. A tragic football injury has left a teenager paralysed from the neck down. Declan McDonald broke his neck after colliding with a player during an Airdrie Coatbridge Rovers game last Saturday. The 16-year-old was rushed to the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital, but has had no sensation from the shoulders down since the incident. He underwent a 10-hour surgery and, although it is highly unlikely that he will ever walk again, medics hope he could regain some arm function. Now, loved ones have raised more than £43,000 of their £45,000 target for Declan on GoFundMe. The Glasgow Times got permission from the Airdrie Coatbridge Rovers football team to share their post on the family's behalf. AC Rovers FC shared on Facebook, "Was hoping we'd never need to put out a message like this, but lots of people asking for updates and sending messages. So, with permission of the family, we feel it's best to put a message here from them." As some of you may have heard, Declan McDonald of our 2007 age group was badly injured in a fall at our match on Saturday, and he was taken by ambulance to the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital. Declan has suffered a broken neck and has no sensation from the shoulders down since the incident. This morning, he has been through a 10-hour surgery on his neck, and now you will understand it's a waiting game. The current prognosis is Declan is highly unlikely to ever be able to walk again. Hopefully with rehab and physio, he will regain some feeling, use of his arms and hands. We will post more information as it is available, but the club asks if you can keep Declan in your thoughts and prayers over the coming weeks and months as he continues his rehabilitation. Thanks to everyone who has reached out so far, from all the family, his coaches and his teammates who are rightly shattered by this situation. The GoFundMe reads, Declan McDonald, 16 years old, who plays for AC Rovers, was unfortunately hurt at the weekend due to a bad collision with him and another player, which led to him breaking his neck and injuring his spinal cord. This has left Declan in paralysis, unable to move, and we have set up a GoFundMe to support Declan and family in this time of need and to show the support as a team. We are also going to be climbing up Tinto Hill in support for Declan. And the article was written by Kirsty Feerick. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 27th of January, from the news section, I am too scared to use my kitchen after my house was flooded. This article is an exclusive by Kirsty Feerick. A woman has been living in a flooded home since before Christmas. Helen Gillooly has leaks in her damaged roof and has been trying to catch the water in buckets for more than 5 weeks. The 55-year-old from the Temple area of Glasgow struggles with mobility and relies on a walking stick, so is terrified of slipping on the water. She claims she can't use her kitchen because of her anxiety, which has gotten worse as storm battered the city, causing more damage and leaks. We previously reported how Storm Aisha brought weather warnings and gale force wind and rain to the area. Fighting back tears, Helen told the Glasgow Times, I have had a leak since before Christmas. It has been a real nightmare for me and caused flooding. The storms have made things worse and I'm trying to catch the water with buckets all over the place. If someone had come out when I first raised the issue, it wouldn't be so bad. I have called constantly but no one is fixing it. I'm really scared of falling and hurting myself. I need a walking stick and struggle with mobility. I can't even use my kitchen or get a cup of tea because I am so worried I will slip in the water. It is causing me a lot of stress and making me depressed. I live alone, so if I fall it would be very bad. The Glasgow Times visited Helen's home and looked at the damage in the ceiling and large buckets scattered across the property. Her housing association, Wheatley Homes Glasgow, has now apologised for the delay in fixing Helen's roof and causing upset. It has offered her temporary accommodation and to pay for any redecoration needed as a result of the damage. A Wheatley Homes Glasgow spokesperson said, "We're very sorry for the delay in fixing the roof and for any upset to our tenant. Our team visited our home last night and again today to inspect the roof. Our repairs team are working to arrange a permanent fix as soon as possible. We've offered the tenant a temporary move while the work has been carried out. We'll also arrange for any internal redecorations that need done in the home." And that article was an exclusive by Kirsty Feerick. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 27th of January, from the news section, JR's fans spend night at Ibrox to raise £49,000. This article is written by Sandhya Suresh. Rangers fans have raised £49,000 towards combating homelessness through the Rangers Charity Foundation's Big Ibrox Sleep Outs. Around 180 fans spent the night at the stadium weathering the cold to collect the funds. The foundation said half of the donations will support its community efforts, while the rest will be split between two initiatives by the Glasgow City Mission and Simon Community Scotland. Malky Thompson, Rangers Academy coach, said, "Today we witnessed firsthand how important the work of the Rangers Foundation is. Our players spent some time listening to how others have to live their lives and how homelessness is not selective. It can happen to anyone. The reality of this has been a humbling education, not just for the players but also for myself." The foundation said the funds ensure Glasgow City Mission's overnight welcome centre can provide shelter during the colder months. It supported 491 individuals this winter in finding emergency beds, even saving 4 lives through CPR in the Loxone administration. Jack Geddes, Marketing and Fundraising Manager at Glasgow City Mission, said, "The Rangers Charity Foundation and all the Rangers fans who slept out have again blessed our guests with a hugely significant donation that allows us to open our overnight welcome centre. This year we have been extremely busy, and the generosity and support given has been crucial in stopping rough sleeping in Glasgow. The proceeds also support Simon Community Scotland in creating crisis packs which contain toiletries, food vouchers, a winter jacket, hat, scarf, gloves and top-ups for gas and electricity. Academy players Paul Nsio, Darren McAnally and Conor Allen attended Glasgow City Mission's drop-in lunch. Some of the players took part in the sleep-outs, welcomed guests, served soups and hot drinks, chatted to guests and helped clear up afterwards." And that article was written by Sandhya Suresh. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 27th of January, news. Man 48 reported after dog shot dead. This report is unattributed. A man has been reported following a dog attack in Hamilton earlier this week. Emergency crews raced to Tintle View around 5 p.m. on Tuesday after receiving a report of the incident. During the situation, a large bulldog-type dog attacked 2 men and it was then shot dead by armed police due to being dangerously out of control. Following that, a 48-year-old man was taken to hospital for treatment for serious injuries. Meanwhile, a second man, aged 27, who was attacked by the animal on Loudonhill Avenue shortly before the Tintleview incident, was taken to hospital for minor injuries. Now, cops have revealed a 48-year-old man has been reported to the Procurator Fiscal in connection with offences relating to the Dangerous Dog Act. Police have also revealed the body of the animal was taken for special veterinary assessment. However, it was not possible to establish its specific breed. And that article was unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 27th of January, from the news section, Probe into emails, article by Nicole Mitchell. An investigation is underway after a threatening email was sent to 2 schools in Rutherglen. Police confirmed the email was sent to the schools on Tuesday evening. Officers have been present at the schools in the days since as a precaution. A letter, seen by the Glasgow Times, was sent to parents and carers at Borough Primary School from the head teacher on Wednesday, assuring them the safety of pupils and staff is a top priority. It read, "I am writing to inform you that Police Scotland are currently carrying out inquiries after a threatening email was sent to our school on the evening of January the 23rd. I would wish to reassure you that our school is a safe environment and the safety of children and staff at the school is our top priority, and we will continue to follow advice from the police over the coming days. While we cannot be sure how serious the threat is, as you would expect, we are taking this matter seriously and are engaging fully with Police Scotland and South Lanarkshire Council. A police presence will remain over the coming days. Police confirmed an investigation into the email is ongoing, but said the threat is not deemed to be credible. While the nature of the threat has not been revealed, it has been confirmed it was not a bomb threat. Anne Donaldson, Head of Education at South Lanarkshire Council, said, "The credibility of the threatening email that was received regarding Borough Primary School was always in question, but the view of both the police and the school, in consultation with South Lanarkshire Council, was that it could not be ignored and that sensible precautions should be put in place. This included a police presence and additional security measures at the school. To respond to specific claims that have been made about this incident, we can clarify that the email did not include any bomb threat. Also, the sensible precautions that were taken involved 2 police officers being present throughout the school day. We can further clarify that all teachers were present throughout this period, with no absences due to anxiety. Also, children were allowed to go to the toilet freely, as needed, throughout the school day. We can now confirm that there have been no incidents in the school, and police advice is the email was likely sent maliciously. As such, the school is returning to normal arrangements the following the end of this school week. However, this incident has been a reminder for all that we must continue to put the safety of our pupils and staff first, and that sensible and proportionate precautions may sometimes be necessary to ensure that that is always the case. Police are appealing for anyone with information about the email to contact them. Chief Inspector Gary Ferguson said, "On the evening of January the 23rd, the threatening email was sent to 2 schools in Rutherglen. Extensive inquiries were carried out and a police presence was maintained in the area over recent days as a precaution. The emails are not deemed to be credible. Police Scotland takes these types of incidents extremely seriously. They divert police resources and cause disruption and alarm to the public. Anyone with information should contact Police Scotland." And that article was written by Nicole Mitchell. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 27th of January, from the news section, starring role for girl who was Miracle Baby. This article is written by Anne Fotheringham. Jessie Lou Harvey wrinkles her nose in concentration when asked where she gets her singing talent from. "My mum said she was a good singer when she was young," she says sceptically, "but I'm not sure I believe her." Nicola Harvey is unperturbed. "What do you mean?" she jokes in the background as Jessie Lou laughs loudly. "I can do a good Kate Bush." Wherever her fantastic voice came from, this 12-year-old starlet from Blantyre has made the most of it, having blown away audiences online. She has 74,000 followers on TikTok, impressed Simon Cowell, and dazzled audience around Britain and Ireland with her performances in Les Miserables and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It is with the latter she is performing in Glasgow this week, at the King's Theatre. Jessie Lou plays Charlie, who wins a golden ticket to visit Willy Wonka's deliciously weird chocolate factory, meeting some interesting and annoying characters along the way. "It's been a roller coaster," says Jessie Lou in awe. "I've been rehearsing since last January and performing since April, and I've stayed in lots of different places, which has been amazing. I'm really lucky. I'm just a wee girl from Blantyre. I have loved performing since I was 6 years old, but my first performance was when I was 9. I was a member of Stellar Performing Arts, and I saw audition for the UK tour of Les Miserables." Jessie Lou adds, "I just decided to try it. I got through all the rounds and got the part of Little Cosette. I had to go to London to rehearse, and it was amazing. I made lots of friends." Away from the stage, Jessie Lou also tried her hand at busking. A duet with her friend raised more than £800,000 for the STV Children's Appeal. "Then we got a video message from Simon Cowell and he matched the donation," laughs Jessie Lou. "That was surprising." Jessie Lou says Charlie is her dream come true role, but is thoughtful when asked which other parts she'd like to play in the future. "I love the musical Hamilton, so one day I'd like to maybe be in that," she considered. I'd also like to play Fantine Les Miserables. For now, I'm planning to concentrate on my singing, working with my vocal coach Robert Wishart. Jessie Lou was always going to be a special girl, says Nicola proudly. My journey to motherhood was not the easiest, she said. She pauses, adding with a smile, this is actually not Jessie Lou's first time in the newspapers. She was featured at the age of just 2 weeks. She was our miracle baby. So this is all a bit magical, really. Nicola and her husband Tony lost 2 babies before Jessie Lou was born. Sadly, Noah was stillborn at 20 weeks and Abigail at 18 weeks. Doctors said Nicola needed a bionic cervix, a nylon stitch around the neck of her womb which would make it strong enough to carry a child full term. She was the first Scottish woman to have the surgery, and it was a success. Jessie Lou's run at the Kings has bittersweet significance for Nicola and Tony, as it marks what would have been Noah's 15th birthday. I feel like some things are written in the stars, says Nicola. It is really emotional. We're so proud of Jessie Lou, she's amazing. Nicola adds, the teachers at her school, St John Ogilvie High in Hamilton, have been so supportive, helping her to make sure she keeps up with everything while she is travelling. It's a lot for her, but it was an opportunity she couldn't turn down, and she copes really well. She says, smiling, she is actually one of the quietest girls in her school. I don't know if many people ever really knew she did this. This week in her home city is going to be a fantastic experience for her. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the musical, is at the King's Theatre until February the 4th. And that article was an exclusive by Anne Fotheringham. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 27th of January, from the news section. Strikes suspended. This article is an exclusive by Marissa McWhirter. Workers have called off strikes outside a women's aid centre, declaring a huge victory amid a row over bullying claims. More than 4 months ago, 13 staff members at Glasgow East Women's Aid, GEWA, were suspended for blowing the whistle on alleged workplace bullying, bringing their work with vulnerable women to a halt. Unite members from GEWA voted to strike for 21 days from December the 1st last year to February the 16th. Now, the union has confirmed the strike was shelved on January the 22nd, and the staff will be returning to work at the Easter House charity on January the 29th after a new board was appointed. Linda Wilson, industrial officer at Unite, told the Glasgow Times that 5 staff members who were dismissed amid the industrial action were fully reinstated, and 2 change managers were appointed to oversee their return to work. She said, I feel really positive, it's great. Hopefully everything will go well. We've been out for a long time and we're just so happy to get back and be heard, be vindicated. Especially the 5 women who have been brought back to work because they didn't do anything wrong. Hopefully, the change board and managers can make GEWA a better place to work. Most importantly, we're back providing a service that Easter House residents need. While a date hasn't been set in stone to receive service users, workers are eager to reopen the Vital Centre as soon as possible. Linda said, this should never have happened, but with a new board in place, we can have high hopes that we can turn things around. It's a huge win for the workers. We've achieved what we set out to do, and we've got 5 workers reinstated with no blemish on their character or name because they didn't deserve it. The women were unduly suspended. They did nothing apart from report bullying in the workplace and they were vilified for it. It's a victory, and the fact that all of the previous board members left tells its own story that they were wrong. A new human resources company, Peninsula, has been assigned to investigate claims of bullying in a toxic workplace in the next 4 weeks. The firm declined to comment at this time. Linda said, the most important thing is the women are back to work and the residents of Easter House get the service they have been wrongly denied for so long. We've had several people say that it's great news that they're going to get their support worker back. A spokesperson for the GEWA board said, we are pleased that all parties have been able to come around the table and resolve the dispute. As a new board, we are committed to maintaining open and transparent lines of communication with workers and investigating any allegations. Both the board and the workers at GEWA are focused on our core mission, which is to support the women and children who need our help. And that article was an exclusive written by Marissa McWhirter and read by me, Ian. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 27th of January, from the news section. Taught given new lease of life thanks to less invasive surgery. This article is unattributed. A boy who was just 12 weeks old when he got operated on for a birth defect is having a much smoother recovery thanks to a new technique. Introduced by the NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde craniofacial team at the Royal Hospital for Children, parents now have the option to choose a shorter 90-minute minimal access early surgery for their child suffering from craniosynostosis, where previously they had only the option of an average 6-hour long surgery. Babies born with craniosynostosis, a condition where a child's skull sutures fuse permanently, can lead to an irregular skull shape and potentially hinder overall skull growth. Previously, the chief surgical treatment encompassed a significant ordeal of removing and surgically reattaching skull parts, involving sizable blood transfusions and requiring extended hospital stays of up to a week. However, in a pioneering act in March last year, surgeons Murthy Halsland and Mirhapo Sangra conducted Scotland's first minimal access endoscopic surgery on a craniosynostosis-stricken infant. This method reduces the hospital stays to just a couple of days and involves the baby engaging in helmet therapy for 12 to 18 months to gently reshape the skull. One beneficiary of this procedure was Edward Richards. By 5 weeks, he was referred to a GP and swiftly assigned a neurosurgeon appointment due to the shape of his head. His mother, Alexandra Richards, said, "We could consider the endoscopic approach or the full head construction. There were pros and cons to both, but ultimately it was very clear that if we were willing to be compliant and commit to the helmet therapy after the operation, then that was the best option for our family. We knew he would be okay either way, but the advantages for us with the minimally invasive approach really outweighed the full head reconstruction. Now 8 months old and thriving, Edward will be able to live a normal and happy life once his helmet is off, only requiring routine observation." And that article was unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 27th of January, from the news section. £5.8 million plan for street unveiled. This article is unattributed. A £5.8 million project to transform a major Glasgow street has been given an expected start date. Argyll Street West Avenue will be redeveloped as part of Glasgow City Council's flagship Avenues programme, which aims to improve the main city centre thoroughfares from Sauchiehall Street to George Square. Scottish company Rainton Construction is expected to begin the £5,827,000 contract, stretching from Kingston Bridge to Union Street, in early summer, with completion due in late autumn 2025. The council says the project will deliver public realm improvements and will feature high-quality pavements and roads, new cycleways, trees and potentially rain gardens. It's part of a wider network under the Glasgow City Region Citydale Avenues programme, which aims to provide accessible, safe and sustainable routes which encourage active travel and connect through the city centre. It comes after major work to rejuvenate Sauchiehall Street began last September as part of a £5.7 million plan to develop a new precinct at the Rose Street end and improvements stretching up to West Nile Street. The works, which have caused significant destruction to the beleaguered street, are expected to be completed towards the end of this summer. It's part of plans to regenerate Glasgow's main shopping streets in the so-called Golden Z area of the city, which is made up of Sauchiehall Street, Buchanan Street and Argyll Street. The need for more homes, workspaces and cultural attractions to enliven the Golden Z is outlined among these plans, as well as sustainable travel to make the city more accessible and green. It's also hoped good quality retail spaces in Buchanan Street will be complemented by a greater mix of restaurant, cafe, bar and leisure uses. And that article was unattributed.
Glasgow Times News on Monday the 29th of January. Alarming spike in strong synthetic drugs on the streets. An article written by Drew Sandilands. An alarming spike in super-strong synthetic opioid drugs was seen on the streets of Glasgow before Christmas, health bosses have warned. Nitazene-type opioids, which are stronger than heroin, were linked to 11 deaths in Scotland between July and September last year. Kelda Gaffney, Head of Adult Services, Alcohol and Drug Recovery and Mental Health at Glasgow's Health and Social Care Partnership, said health officials are concerned about them and are monitoring the situation. Ms Gaffney said, synthetic opioids have not come into Scotland in a big way, but we saw a spike before Christmas, so we very quickly, from a public health perspective, pulled together information and advice for people. She was responding to a question from Glasgow City Integration Joint Board member David Gould, asking about the increased presence of synthetic opioids, including nitazenes, and what is being done to handle the problem. He asked, are we as a city facing a big challenge going forward in terms of synthetic opioids? Are we at the tip of the iceberg? Ms Gaffney said an intelligence hub has been developed in partnership with the police to quickly identify any challenge. She added, it's definitely an issue we need to keep an eye on. It's not exploded and it seems to have settled down again from pre-Christmas, but we will continue to look at that as it's something we would be concerned about. It's feared nitazenes are being made in labs and imported into the UK from China, according to a BBC report. The comments come as the Glasgow City Integration Joint Board was last week presented with a refreshed Glasgow City Alcohol and Drug Partnership strategy. Ms Gaffney explained how the strategy is aligned with the Scottish Government's national mission to reduce deaths and improve lives impacted by drugs, and this has been updated to include alcohol, which is very welcome. She said, we are very committed to addressing stigma, and that is highlighted throughout the strategy. The aims of the strategy include improving the quality of life for people suffering harm through alcohol and drug use, early intervention to prevent problems, and tackling stigma and health inequalities, among others. An article written by Drew Sandilands. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 29th of January. Drumchapel disabled dad living in a death trap home. An exclusive front-page article written by Kirsty Feerick. A disabled dad claims he's being forced to stay in a death trap after living with mould for 9 years. William Allison has been complaining about dampness at his Drumchapel home since 2015, which he claims has caused infections and poor mental health. The 60-year-old, who is paralysed and relies on a wheelchair, branded the condition of some rooms as diabolical, while the Glasgow Times photographed large black spores across the property. William said, I feel pushed to my limits with the mould and how unfairly my family is being treated. We are desperate for help. We have been living with mould for 9 years. We constantly complain, but it's still a problem. It's been very stressful for us, to be honest. It has hurt my mental health a lot, and I just don't want to be here anymore at times. It's a death trap. My daughter's room is diabolical. No one should be living this way in the 21st century. Mould can produce toxic substances and can also affect the immune system, according to the NHS. It can also cause asthma and chest infections, which William's 27-year-old daughter Amanda has now been diagnosed with. She said she is forced to take her mattress into the living room to sleep at night, as she is unable to breathe in her bedroom. Amanda said, it feels like complete hell living here, and we aren't getting any help to fix the mould. It's really bad. I have to sleep in the living room now because I can't breathe in my own room. I believe I now have asthma because of the mould, which is really stressful. My disabled dad also has been experiencing a tight chest. The damp also makes the house stink so badly. Even after we wash our clothes, they still smell of the mould. We can't get away from it. Our ceilings have wet puddles on them, which makes us scared the roof is going to come in and kill us. It makes strange noises all the time. William said the damp ceiling leaves him afraid to use his special hoist to get in and out of his wheelchair. He's now struggling to navigate around the property, despite it being an accessible space, because of the mould. It comes as the family say they are forced to pile their belongings in the hallway after they said they lost £3,000 in property damage after leaks have broken CD players, televisions and other valuable items. William explained, "I'm a disabled guy and I'm scared to use my hoist to get in and out of my wheelchair because it's attached to the wet ceiling. It could come in. I also can't move around the house easily as we have boxes of our things everywhere to try and protect them from leaks and wet condensation. It's just making everything 10 times harder for me. I really want it sorted." Cledden's Housing Association confirmed that they have been receiving complaints about mould from the family since 2015. Over the 9 years, they have carried out 8 specialist inspection surveys, but the family said the mould has continued to get worse. Despite this, Kingsridge Cledden Housing Association has never offered temporary accommodation while investigations continue. When asked if the property was safe for the family despite their medical reports of infections and asthma, the Housing Association claimed a transfer would not be necessary and that the current issues in the property would not, in their view, warrant a decant. Jim Strang, interim director of Kingsridge Cledden's Housing Association, said, "I can confirm the household composition, and I can also confirm that there have indeed been complaints concerning condensation-related issues at this address. Over the years, the association has commissioned 8 specialist inspection surveys, with the first being commissioned in November 2015 and the most recent last November. All have confirmed that there are no structural or penetrating damp issues affecting the property and that the core issue is a recurring condensation issue. I can confirm that we are currently actively engaging with our tenants and have been for the last few weeks on further investigatory work to try and reach a satisfactory permanent conclusion to this issue. The association takes all aspects of tenant and resident safety very seriously, including the effects of condensation and dampness, and we will always endeavour to resolve such issues in a timely manner, as will be the case with this case." Glasgow City Council said, "This case has been reported to us and we are investigating." An exclusive front-page article written by Kirsty Fearick. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 29th of January. Almost 100 fines given to fly tippers. An article written by Jack Thompson. Thousands of proactive patrols have been carried out at fly-tipping hotspots as an environmental task force continues its investigations in Renfrewshire. A total of 2,258 visits to problem areas were conducted by the Bespoke Unit from December 2022 to November 2023, with 436 tonnes of waste removed and 93 fines handed out. A breakdown of the data was included in a report to last Tuesday's Community and Housing Policy Board, as well as confirmation that the Scottish Government has increased the fixed penalty notice charge for those caught from £200 to £500. Councillor Jamie Maguire, a Labour representative for Renfrew North and Braehead, said he wholeheartedly welcomed the step, describing fly tipping as an absolute plight in communities in the local authority. He added, "I'd like to know what the Council is doing in preventative measures to tackle fly tipping, to tackle the root cause of it. I noted at one of the earlier boards that the Council was going to be going out to the hotspot areas and trying to catch those responsible. I think even the issue with raising the penalty is sometimes we don't catch the person to give them the fine, so what preventative measures are going to be taken?" The task force inspects evidence left in bags, searches for potential witnesses among nearby residents and monitors CCTV camera footage as it tries to identify the culprits responsible for discarded rubbish. Nicola Drummond, lead officer for Building Communities, elaborated on this work in her response to Councillor Maguire. She explained, "We've got a suite of cameras out there and the cameras have been used. We've had quite a number of fly tipping offences caught on the cameras and we've issued tickets for those for the £200. The £500 will be better there, especially when it's businesses that are fly tipping. We do go out and check hotspots. We go out and check hotspots daily. If we're there, we don't tend to find fly tipping. Really, the reason to go out and check hotspots is that there was nothing there yesterday. Is there anything there today? Is there a camera there that we can look at? Is there anyone there that we can speak to? We chap doors if it's fly tipping in the streets and in communities. We chap all the doors of the houses overlooking that site. We look through bags. Street Scene attends with us, and we open black bags and look through bags looking for names and addresses, and then go and interview those people. There are only a few options available to us, but we do explore all of them and investigate as thoroughly as we possibly can. Councillor Cathy McEwen, the SNP representative for Renfrew South and Gallow Hill, said she was really pleased with the performance of the unit, describing it as a step in the right direction. An article written by Jack Thompson. Glasgow Times, on Monday the 29th of January. Lifestyle. Glasgow restaurant boss wants to take tapas favourite further afield. An article written by Rebecca Newlands. The boss of a major Glasgow restaurant group has teased plans to open more locations. Mario Gizzi has revealed that DiMaggio's restaurant group is actively exploring potential sites for new eateries across the country. The group, which owns Italian restaurants DiMaggio's and Amarone, as well as Spanish tapas favourite Café Andaluz, is looking at expanding further afield in Newcastle and potentially in London. The group opened a third Café Andaluz in Edinburgh's trendy Stockbridge area in November to considerable success, with more than 20,000 hungry customers already visiting. Mr Gizzi said, "The reception to the Stockbridge Café Andaluz has been exceptional and is exactly why we chose that location. It's another pillar in the progression of the business, and we have plans to grow the brand even further. We have a strong portfolio of brands across a broad range of sectors and food types, and our plans are about growing what we have. We are actively looking at a site for a second Café Andaluz in Newcastle, and beyond that we intend to take the brand and potentially other restaurants into London as well. We are researching suitable locations, and that includes the potential acquisition of other restaurant businesses with a view to converting sites into one of our existing brands if the opportunity is right. We've been in business for 40 years because we take a responsible and measured approach to growth, only moving when the opportunity is right for the business, and that will continue to be fundamental to our approach." It comes after the firm experienced its busiest December since before the COVID pandemic, and sales across its 17 venues have gone up by 10% on the previous year. Mr Gizzi, who trained as a chartered accountant in the 1980s, founded the DiMaggio's restaurant group in 1985 with his uncle Joe Conetta, and now runs it with his cousin Tony Conetta, who stepped into his father's role following his retirement in the year 2000. The group now employs almost 1,000 people across its venues and runs training schemes, including in-house apprenticeships. An article written by Rebecca Newlands. Glasgow Times, on Monday the 29th of January. Lifestyle. Strictly Live is the best show in town. An exclusive article written by Anne Fotheringham. There's always a lot of love in the room from Strictly fans when this dazzling powerhouse of a show rolls into town. This year, the cast looked genuinely touched by the reception from a crowd which was raring to go from the off. First up was Channel 4 newsreader Krishnan Gurumurthy with professional partner Jovita Pristal, likened to Jack and Victor doing the slosh by Mr Nasty Judge and the show's director Craig Revel-Horwood, to the delight of the audience. From that point on, no joke was too cheesy, no Scottish reference too cliched. It was just non-stop fun, glamour and hilarity. And that Barbie group dance, well, there are no words. The judges were in a particularly giddy mood, with stylish host Jeanette Manrara having to sternly rein them in on more than one occasion. Anton Dubek, in particular, wittered on charmingly about everything from his sporran to hair transplants and hip replacements. For a confusing moment, it seemed Shirley Ballas was about to deliver a topical Glasgow culture joke when she announced she had become a glam mother with the birth of her new grandson. "He is called Banksy," she said proudly. The crowd waited for the punchline, but this is in fact true. Little Banksy, with an I, Wild with a Y, Ballas, was born late last year, and nothing to do with that exhibition, which created a stir in the city last year. Series winner Ellie Leach and her partner Vito Coppola dazzled in the Paso Doble and the American Smooth, while fellow finalist and nation sweetheart Bobby Brazier instantly charmed the audience with his hip-shaking samba and glorious Viennese waltz alongside partner Diane Buswell. Loudest roars of the evening were delivered to the mighty Leighton Williams and Nikita Kuzmin, whose quick step to putting on the Ritz didn't need the multiple backflips to be a surefire crowd pleaser. Angela Rippon's reprise of the leg extension which broke the internet amid her cha-cha with Kai Widrington, and the sultry Argentine tango from Angela Scanlon and Carlos Gu, which remains a thing of exquisite beauty. There was warmth for all the couples, however, especially Annabel Croft, dancing with Graziano Di Prima instead of her TV partner Johannes Radebe, who is on his own tour, and Angela Scanlon, who was kind of our representative in the absence of any Scots in this year's lineup. I spotted plenty of wild-eyed redheads out and about in Glasgow today, so I do feel as if I'm home, she grinned. Lobbying for votes, Angela Rippon explained she had Scottish roots. My grandmother was born in Killiecrankie, she said, adding apologetically, and the family moved just up the road to Edinburgh. While Krishnan, who revealed in the Glasgow Times that his first job was in the city, reminded the crowd of this, to great cheers. None of it mattered anyway, because Leighton and Nikita took the title, their latest of many glitter balls on the tour so far. There were amazing performances from the live singers, backed by Alan Rogers and his band, and Jeanette was a witty, warm host. Strictly Live is the antidote to January's gloom and god-awful weather. It's joy wrapped up in candy floss sprinkled with sequins, a slick, professional, big arena version of the television show for fans unable to win coveted seats in the Elstree audience. And on Friday night, for a joyful few hours, it belonged to Glasgow. An exclusive article written by Anne Fotheringham. Glasgow Times, recorded on Monday the 29th of January. Opinion. We need to invest in our visitor attractions. A column written by Martha Wardrop. Many cities have a tourist levy to provide a contribution from visitors to help develop and protect local services and public infrastructure. Green councillors want Glasgow to have a thriving, sustainable tourism sector, and we believe that the visitor levy could have an important role to play in achieving this. This month, the Scottish Parliament supported the first stage of the Visitor Levy Scotland Bill. The bill will allow local councils to introduce the visitor levy to hotels and overnight accommodation, similar to schemes already in place in popular tourist destinations across the world. The provision of the scheme for local authorities in Scotland was secured by the Scottish Greens during budget negotiations in 2019, but was one of a number of bills postponed due to the COVID pandemic. A visitor levy could generate additional much-needed cash for the local government and Glasgow's tourism industry. This can then be used to fund essential services that benefit tourists and residents alike. Visitor levy money has generated significant local income for local governments across 21 out of 27 European Union member states, who make an additional charge paid on overnight accommodation. Like many destinations around the world, such as Barcelona, Venice, Dubrovnik, Bruges and Porto, we could use visitor levies to enhance facilities in our city centre and in our local neighbourhoods. Levy funds can help to deliver local services such as street cleansing, public toilets, public footpaths and visitor attractions. Funding can also provide cultural initiatives, including music events and festivals. The tourist levy could help make areas more attractive and improve the quality of the wider visitor experience. We have seen the development of our film and television sector, which has resulted in a boost to the number of tourists at various locations used by productions like Outlander and 1917. We can work with other cities, including Edinburgh, and in partnership with the tourism industry, to plan for the introduction of a visitor charge, subject to legislative approval from the Scottish Parliament. We also have to take into account that the Welsh Government is considering the introduction of a visitor levy. In addition, we can seek further updates on the introduction of the City Visitor Charge in Manchester, which aims to fund the new Accommodation Business Improvement District, to improve the visit experience and support the visitor economy over the next 5 years. In 2023, a referendum involving hoteliers decided on the charge with 4 in 5 voting in favour. Their plan is to add 6,000 hotel rooms and significantly increase the number of overnight stays. We can celebrate Glasgow being named as one of the 50 best cities in the world in 2024 by Time Out. We're fortunate that Glasgow is such a fantastic destination for tourists, whether from abroad, the rest of the United Kingdom, or from within Scotland. More people will be choosing to explore and enjoy our city. By diversifying the tax base for local government, the visitor levy would invest in local services and support the local economy to thrive. A column written by Martha Wardrop. Glasgow Times News on Monday, the 29th of January. New Paisley Grammar School Community Campus is approved. An article written by Sandhya Suresh. Plans to build a new high school near Renfrew Road in Paisley have been approved by the Renfrewshire Council. Construction work on Paisley Grammar School Community Campus is expected to start in the spring, and the school could open in summer of 2026. The Council's Planning and Climate Change Policy Board gave the green light on January the 23rd. Councillor Jim Patterson, convener of the Planning and Climate Change Policy Board, said, "The new Paisley Grammar School Community Campus will offer modern facilities for pupils, replacing the current school which has served the town for more than a century but is now outdated. The new building will provide pupils and staff with a learning environment suitable for the 21st century, providing them with everything they need now and in the future. It has also been designed for community use of the building during and after the school day, at weekends and during holidays, with separate areas and access for pupils and the public. The new school will showcase modern facilities such as an all-weather sports pitch, a 300-seat theatre, meeting rooms and a learning plaza. The council said it will meet high standards for energy efficiency to fully support Renfrewshire's plan for net zero. The school's location will also support a close partnership with the West College Scotland campus, with potential to expand the curriculum on offer to pupils. The school is being funded by Renfrewshire Council and Scottish Futures Trust as part of the nationwide Learning Estate Investment Programme. The proposal also includes plans for a new road from Renfrew Road to Inchinnan Road, which will serve as a safe access to the school without going through the town centre. The council said routes for cycling and walking will be created, and plans for a pedestrian and cycle underpass under the Renfrew Road are in progress. The new school will not include the former Shivas Administration building located nearby, but the council is looking for a new owner for the site. Councillor Patterson added, with the team having done a considerable amount of work to gather the views of the local people and design a building that will meet the needs of pupils, staff, parents and local residents, I'm pleased to see this project move into the next phase. An article written by Sandhya Suresh. Glasgow Times News on Monday, the 29th of January. Scotland set to ban single-use vapes. An article written by Morgan Carmichael. Scotland is set to join England and Wales in banning single-use vapes. The Scottish Government has announced that recommendations made following a UK-wide consultation have been accepted, with Minister Lorna Slater saying there was a clear majority for an outright ban. Under the new rules, it will also become illegal for anyone born after January 1st, 2009 to buy tobacco in Scotland. Ms Slater said, from litter on our streets to the risk of fires in waste facilities, single-use vapes are an increasing issue for our environment, local communities and for our young people. We were the first government to commit to taking action on single-use vapes, and having now fulfilled our 2023 programme for government commitment to consult on measures to tackle the environmental impact of single-use vapes, I welcome the findings from this UK-wide consultation. It shows a clear majority preference for a ban on the sale and supply of single-use vapes in Scotland. I will now work to introduce legislation to ban them, working alongside Public Health Minister Jenny Minto to carefully consider any potential public health impacts. Ms Minto will also be working on a separate package of measures to create a tobacco-free Scotland by 2034 and tackle youth vaping. In a rare point of consensus, the rules will mirror those used in England and Wales. Announcing the move ahead of a visit to a school on Monday, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said, "As any parent or teacher knows, one of the most worrying trends at the moment is the rise in vaping among children, and so we must act before it becomes endemic. The long-term impacts of vaping are unknown, and the nicotine within them can be highly addictive. So while vaping can be a useful tool to help smokers quit, marketing vapes to children is not acceptable. As Prime Minister, I have an obligation to do what I think is the right thing for our country in the long term. That is why I'm taking bold action to ban disposable vapes, which have driven the rise in youth vaping, and bring forward new powers to restrict vape flavours, introduce plain packaging, and change how vapes are displayed in shops. Alongside our commitment to stop children who turn 15 this year or younger from ever legally being sold cigarettes, these changes will leave a lasting legacy by protecting our children's health for the long term." An article written by Morgan Carmichael. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 29th of January. 2-year-old is the youngest to reach Everest's base camp. An article written by George Mathias. A 2-year-old Glasgow boy is believed to have become the youngest person to reach Everest base camp. Carter Dallas climbed to the south site in Nepal, located 17,598 feet above sea level, on October the 25th. He completed the trek on his father Ross's back, with his mother Jade alongside. The trio are on a year-long trip around Asia. It's thought a 4-year-old from the Czech Republic held the previous base camp record. Ross, who is a former senior sales manager, said of the Everest hike, "Carter coped better than me and his mum. We both got slight altitude sickness, but he was absolutely fine. There were 2 medics at the villages before the base camp, and they tested his blood to check he was fine. His results were way better than ours. They were amazed. We bought food, jackets, and 2 sleeping bags for the trek. We basically did it on a whim. Within 24 hours of touching down in Kathmandu, we started the trek." Ross says he believes they were well prepared for the trip as they regularly practice breathing techniques, and they all do cold ice bath plunges, including Carter. The parents did the trek in their normal everyday trainers, with Carter strapped to Ross's back. Ross and Jade, a former housing officer, rented out their house and bought 3 one-way tickets for a year of travelling in August 2023. They flew to India before visiting Sri Lanka and the Maldives, with trips back to India in between. They then went on to Nepal before going to Malaysia for a wedding. After that, they went to Singapore, where they spent Carter's birthday at Universal Studios. They then spent Christmas in Penang before crossing the border into Thailand. They spent the New Year on the Thai island of Koh Lanta. They're currently in the jungle at a Thai nature reserve in Khao Sok, with their next stop Bangkok and then on to Cambodia. Ross says Carter has lapped up all the different cultures and is loving it. He said he'll say Sawadika and Namaste. He's picking up the lingo. We love that he's been exposed to different cultures and has been playing with all the kids in small villages. It's really opening up his mind. The one thing he's loved the most is hearing the Islamic call to prayer. Carter has also developed a taste for exotic foods and has enjoyed eating fish curries in the Maldives and chicken feet in Malaysia, and even crocodile. But his favourite dish of all is pad thai. The family says the trip highlights so far have been visiting an elephant orphanage and bathing with them, seeing the Taj Mahal and swimming with sharks in the Maldives. Ross said, "We hope we can inspire other people to go out and see the real world. It's way better than just going to Tenerife." An article written by George Mathias.
This is from the Glasgow Times on the 31st of January 2024. From the news section. And the headline reads, Super strength ecstasy pills could link 3 deaths in Glasgow. This article is by Rebecca Newlands. Cops believe a batch of super strength ecstasy pills with Donald Trump's face could link the deaths of 3 teenagers in Glasgow. Marcus Dick and Scott Allison, both 18, died after attending a rave at SWG3 on August 12, 2023. We also reported that an 18-year-old woman then died following an event at that same venue on January 1st this year, and that one line of inquiry being followed by police was that the deaths were drug-related. Now, the Daily Record reports that Trump pills, containing the chemical MDMA and shaped like the former US President's face, were recovered by security staff at the city venue at the time of Marcus and Scott's deaths. The Radar Rapid Action Drug Alerts and Response report identified the pills, along with others shaped to resemble the Netflix and Twitter logos, as potential killers. It states that Police Scotland's Statement of Opinion, STOP unit, continues to see recoveries of both MDMA crystal and ecstasy tablets. It reads, The below are images of MDMA tablets recovered in August 2023 by events venue security staff in the west of Scotland. Some of these tablets have been reported to be linked to the deaths of young people. Scott, from Cumbernauld, died after being found unwell at Croy train station around 11:20 p.m. on Saturday. He was taken to University Hospital Monklands in Airdrie, where he was pronounced dead a short time later. Marcus, from Coatbridge, died in Queen Elizabeth University Hospital after becoming unwell at around 2:20 a.m. on Sunday, August 13th. Following the third death at the new year, SWG3 said it would cancel all events in January as staff worked to take significant measures to prevent drugs from entering the venue. Steve Rolls, Senior Policy Analyst of the Transform Drugs Policy Foundation, believes the latest deaths emphasise the need for drug testing to be introduced into Scotland. He said, We know that Scotland has problems with drug deaths, and it's clear that harm reduction measures can have very clear results. Drug checking procedures would eliminate a lot of the risk attached to illicit pills, where batch strength can vary significantly. We see 50 to 60 MDMA deaths in the UK each year, but this reduces to 1 or 2 in the Netherlands, where they have successful testing procedures. Kirsten Hosborough, the CEO of the Scottish Drugs Forum, added, Deaths of young people are tragedies for families. People need basic information to know how to limit risks and what to do if something goes wrong. We need to be putting these messages out continually and consistently. People who own or manage clubs need support to learn how to reduce risk, and licensing authorities and local government need better understanding of what actually reduces risk, education and support, rather than a simplistic, zero-tolerance approach that just makes drug use higher risk and drives drug use into more dangerous settings. This article is by Rebecca Newlands. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 31st of January 2024 from the news section, and the headline reads, Clydebank man was 5 times over the legal drink limit. This article is by Tristan Stewart Robertson. A man, nearly 5 times the legal drink limit, has been banned from the roads for years. Edward Cairns of Moskeel Drive, Clydebank, previously pleaded guilty to having 95 milligrams of alcohol and 100 millilitres of breath, when the limit is 22 milligrams. In the incident of November 26, 2023, in the same street, he also drove with a provisional licence and without supervision. He also had no insurance. Dumbarton Sheriff Court heard how the 45-year-old had taken his vehicle into a garage, and staff were concerned he was under the influence. Police later caught up to him. Defence solicitor Stephen Maguire said there had been a gathering the night before, and he went to get cigarettes the next morning when he shouldn't have. Sheriff William Gallagher questioned what he was meant to do when Cairns had previously been jailed for a similar offence. He told the man, "The fact you put yourself in this situation is utterly wrong. utterly unacceptable. You were not fit to drive. You could have caused a catastrophe. The sheriff posed a community payback order with 18 months of supervision and 250 hours of unpaid work in the community to be completed within a year. He was disqualified from driving for 5 years. This article is by Tristan Stewart Robertson. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 31st of January 2024 from the news section, and the headline reads, Cops increasingly concerned for missing man in Glasgow. This article is by Ben Waddle. Cops are growing increasingly concerned regarding the whereabouts of a missing man last seen in Glasgow. Anthony MacDonald from Paisley was last seen at 10:45 p.m. on Monday, January 29th, at Buchanan bus station in the city. The 59-year-old is described as being white, 5 feet 7 inches tall, medium build and bald. He was last seen wearing a black jacket, blue/dark blue trousers believed to be jeans, a green Jean-Paul Gaultier rucksack, and a green/light green Nietzsche hooded top. Sergeant Rachel Buchanan of Paisley Police Office said, We are becoming increasingly concerned for Anthony's welfare. We have dedicated resources working around the clock looking to trace him. However, we continue to appeal for the assistance of the public. I would urge anyone with any information or who recognises him from the photographs and description passed to please get in contact as soon as possible. Please call 101 and quote reference 2066 of January 30. This article was by Ben Waddle. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 31st of January 2024 from the news section, and the headline reads, Glasgow agency goes bust, leaving employees redundant. This article is by Kirsty Feedick. A Glasgow agency has suddenly gone bust, leaving employees redundant. R&R Letts, based on Elderslie Street, has stopped trading with its accounts being overdue, according to Companies House. 4 members of staff have lost their jobs as a result, while landlords and tenants are in limbo. It comes as one anonymous Glasgow landlord claimed they are still owed rent money. They told the Glasgow Times, for tenants, they are not sure what they should do. We are in limbo because they have paid the rent, but landlords are not getting it right now. They are not sure what the homeowner will decide to do. We have mortgages to pay. The lack of rent may lead landlords to sell up the property and leave the tenants potentially homeless soon. It's not an ideal situation for both tenants and landlords. The landlord went on to claim that tenancy agreements, paperwork and keys are no longer accessible, while liquidators investigate. This would mean a new letting agency is not able to take over, as they do not have the necessary admin in place, such as the tenancy contract, as well as electrical, gas and energy certificates. In emails seen by the Glasgow Times, the landlord was told by Assets, a specialist local accountant and business advisory group, that rental payments may still be collected but not given to the homeowner. A spokesperson for Assets said, We can confirm that James Fennessy and Blair Milne of Assets were appointed as joint provisional liquidators of R&R Letts Scotland Limited on January 22nd, 2024. We are currently working with affected tenants and landlords to ensure the best possible outcome. The Glasgow Times reached out to the previous owner of R&R Letts, which refused to comment. This article is by Kirsty Feedick. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 31st of January 2024 from the news section, and the headline reads, Man pretended to be a nurse at Glasgow Queen Elizabeth Hospital. This article is by Connor Gordon. A man has admitted impersonating a nurse at a Glasgow City hospital. Lee Woods, 28, wore NHS clothing and a badge at Queen Elizabeth University Hospital between March and July 2023. Court papers state Woods conducted himself in a disorderly manner and repeatedly attended the hospital. The charge says that he was not an employee. Woods also repeatedly attended the resuscitation and children's areas while wearing the clothing. It is stated that Woods, of Greenock, Inverclyde, committed a breach of the peace. He pleaded guilty today at Glasgow Sheriff Court to the single charge. A schedule of previous convictions was passed to the Sheriff by Prosecutor Ian Matheson. Patrick Bredgeny, defending, told the court, "The circumstances are highly unusual. I wonder if the court would benefit from a criminal justice social work report for this matter." Sheriff David Taylor agreed and deferred sentence until the end of February, when more information surrounding the circumstances will be heard. Woods had his bail continued meantime. This article was by Connor Gordon. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 31st of January 2024 from the news section, and the headline reads, "Tearful Nicola Sturgeon rejects opportunity in COVID pandemic claim." This article is by Xander Elliards. Nicola Sturgeon fought back tears as she refuted allegations that she had seen an opportunity for political gain in the COVID pandemic. Speaking to the inquiry at an evidence session in Edinburgh on Wednesday, the former First Minister became visibly emotional as she knocked back the accusations. She said, "I didn't see an opportunity of any description in COVID. I saw a threat, a risk, a catastrophe. My memories of the early part of 2020, in terms of how I was feeling and thinking, and the emotions that I was experiencing, was at first fear at what might be about to unfold and confront the country. At times, I think you've seen snippets of perhaps the sort of human side of being a leader and a politician in these moments. At times in those early days, I felt overwhelmed by the scale of what we were dealing with, and perhaps more than anything, I felt an overwhelming responsibility to do the best I could." She added, "So the idea that in those horrendous days, weeks, I was thinking of a political opportunity, I find, well, it wasn't true." This article was by Xander Elliards.
That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels, add, review, and to tell your friends about our service.